Hello everyone, this is Starni Games developers gameplay episode 5, and today we will have a look at the first operation of strategic mind Blitzkrieg. So, a short introduction. This is the second game in the strategic mind series, and we've already had like our very first project was Panzer Strategy, and it covered the same events. So initially we worked on polishing that game, but it quickly turned out that it's easier to rework everything from scratch within the new strategic mind framework than to try to fix that project. So after 1 year of work on Strategic Mind the Pacific, we moved on to creating Strategic Mind Blitzkrieg and basically rethink and redo all the German campaign events, and we've created better cinematics with different plot, a bit different list of operations and stuff like that. So we of course took into account like some of the design issues with Panzer strategy. So when designing the scenario, we would look at how that was done in Panzer strategy and then take some good parts and fix some bad ones. So it's basically a second game that covers German campaign in World War II, and we wanted this to be like on a completely new level. So hopefully we are quite happy with what we've got as a result. Of course, it's still a relatively low budget game, so it has its issues, but we think it's more or less what we wanted to have from it, so we are satisfied with the results. Of course, you can always do better. That's why we are continue to develop Strategic Mind series, and many of the improvements that we've made for the next parts of the series, like for Strategic Mind Spectre of Communism, and something that we are working on right now with Strategic Mind Fight for Freedom, they are gradually included. So when we make some big update or improve some of the features, we usually introduce them retrospectively to the previous parts of the series. So Strategic Mind Blitzkrieg now is somewhat better than it was at release, and hopefully it will be even better still when we release Fight for Freedom. So there is still some room for improvement. So let's jump in and play the first scenario. Also a brief note for everyone who are interested in watching more of a Strategic Mind the Pacific gameplay. I will get back to it in the next episodes. So today we cover the first operation in Blitzkrieg, and then we'll be back to the Pacific, I think. So stay tuned if you want to see more of that.
Haunted by the aftermath of the Treaty of Versailles, economic and military collapse, poverty and disillusionment, the German people were looking for hope. This hope was given to them by the new government, which set out to restore Germany to its former glory and beyond, no matter what the cost. Will this hope be false? That is for you to decide. You will assume the role of Franz Halder, an officer of an old and renowned Prussian school of military tradition, who is soon to become the German Army Chief of General Staff. You will have to do the bidding of the highest authorities, and at the same time make sure your fatherland and its people do not perish in their deadly struggle. Your actions are what will set apart fame and infamy, victory and defeat, prosperity and collapse, reason and insanity.
As usual, we go for the challenging difficulty, and let's see the introductory cinematic sequence.
Soviet Russia is making futile attempts to establish the Bolsheviks regime in Spain. The German government supports the brave volunteers who gallantly resist the puppet government of the Spanish Republicans. Following the call of their valiant hearts, many Germans volunteered to fight alongside the Spanish rebels. General Halder, I came upon your orders, sir.
Halder, as you know, our new divisions formed with volunteers are about to be sent to Spain. Germany needs an experienced commander who would lead them to victory.
I believe any officer should be gallant and put Germany above all else.
Well, maybe someone comes to mind. This assignment will certainly open new career prospects.
I'm convinced the officer's honor should always be the main motive, not the career ladder.
That is exactly what I have been looking for. Halder, I like your approach. I know you're a very talented and gallant officer. If you had asked me, I would have sent you personally to put things in order there. Yet I cannot order you in this case.
Herr Goering, please allow me to lead our forces. I will depart for Spain immediately.
The German government is highly grateful to you for this act of bravery. The civil war in Spain has been quite advantageous for us. We've spread our influence to a European state of major importance and given our pilots a baptism in fire. Still, this conflict is turning into a tiresome affair, while the Wehrmacht has plenty of bigger goals to focus on. The Republican government is on its last legs, so get in there and deal the death blow. Of course, armed with our cutting-edge technology, the Francoist troops would eventually win regardless. But this could be good for the public image. A good reminder for the Spaniards who they owe their victory to. The Republican government is holed up in Barcelona. Our primary objective is Tarragona. If we take it, we will split the Republican territory in two and leave the Catalonian capital cut off.
Okay. So historically, Halder didn't command the Spanish troops, the German troops in Spain. So we've had to go a bit of the history track, but eventually, we have to do it in some of our games because it rarely one commander would command all operations. So sometimes we have to switch it around because we don't want to introduce 30 or 40 generals. It's nearly impossible to do in a game like ours, so we have to switch some minor things, but we want to preserve the authenticity of historical period and the feel and the overall flow of events and some precise historical details. But of course, sometimes we have to sacrifice some of the finer details to get it all together in a computer game. So you have to understand that there are some small stuff that has to be changed around a bit. Okay, so
standing by for orders.
I think I have to make unit speech a bit lower.
We've got big guns and we're not afraid to use them.
Okay, so that's probably too. Maybe something like that.
We will save the world from chaos. We are unstoppable.
Okay, so right now we have to capture Tarragona.
Ready to roll. Keep moving. Keep moving.
Basically, we had to change all swastikas anywhere in the game with the cross. It's a Russian cross of 1812, so it has nothing to do with the World War II regime.
Already there. Almost.
Any sensitive assignments for us?
Because we've had lots of adventures, I would say, with releasing Blitzkrieg, especially since we have Hitler in cinematics, so that's always very problematic topics.
For Deutschland and its people.
Standing by for orders.
Always ready. Standing by for orders. We will do battle.
It's not very comfortable here.
Infantry of the Army's core.
We've captured the key point. All right, boys, let's make
Okay, we've got intelligence data, so now we can see full info about these guys. There's some anti-tank, both words guns, and some regulars.
Give us
Also,
something to shell already.
if you are watching our developers gameplay series for the first time, consider looking at previous episodes, because there I go into more details that would be useful for beginner players. Like I go a bit more into detail of like how all the mechanics work and stuff like that.
Moving out.
So I'll still explain some of those, but only when it's like
At your command.
maybe some finer details, and only when the question pops up. So some basic stuff is better explained in the previous episodes, I think. Okay, so we've got
Always
night.
ready.
Let's actually move in
Time to
here.
move on.
Okay.
If anyone asks, this unit does not exist.
Also, we plan to release an update soon for all Strategic Mind games, and it has better like river visuals and different water visuals as well. So there could be some nice visual changes for all of our games. So those changes should hit Steam soon. But I guess we will see and discuss it in some of the next episodes.
Reconnaissance company reporting.
Okay, let's see if the recon plane has to tell us something. Well, we already know what's in there, so... But I just want to maximize the damage from my units, because firing at an unidentified target reduces the damage. So that's why I would want to recon that area anyways.
Reconnaissance company reporting.
No, that's not something I would want. Okay, let's end the turn actually. Well, it was non-lethal, so since they did get supply from the supply, or from the Marit. Oh, actually they got supply from coming from here, because I don't think supply from here would go through. Yeah, it wouldn't, but supply from here would. So I think many people ask how the supply system works. So basically there are some major supply hubs, like supply hub and maritime hub. So they are like source of supplies for the whole map. So So we currently own one. This is our supply hub, and from this we can supply all the rest. So we have this supply hub, and from all supply hubs and supply points, like I would say imaginary trucks would be sent to all locations they could reach. The trucks have wheeled movement and 8 move points, so basically the truck would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so it would reach this supply point, and then this supply point would also send would get supplies, because supply points, they don't generate supply, only supply hubs do. But if a supply point is connected to the supply hub, then it redistributes the supply from the supply hub. So basically supply hub every turn sends the truck with supplies here, and this supply point then sends it further to this area. So basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 okay, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and now this has cost of 2 four-wheeled, so it's like 1, 2, 3, 4 because of the road, 5, 6 because of clear without road, 7, 8 once again because there is no road and it's wheeled truck. So for example here it would be like all, so it would only go like here and here, but it can get like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like something like that. So this is the area that can be covered. So like for example here is the road, so you can go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then forest has cost of 3 four-wheeled, so it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so it cannot go further. So if your units are within this area, they would be supplied. Although it seems that there must be some enemy unit here because it's cut off or something. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, so no, there is no unit, but it's cut off because the truck has to go through this city most likely, or through here. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it cannot go like 7, 8, and then it cannot go like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it cannot go 5, 6, 7, 8. So theoretically, if there wouldn't be enemy units out here, those areas would also be supplied, but right now they are with red line, marked with red lines, so that means that they are cut off and they are currently aren't supplied from our supply. But they are supplied if we choose enemy supply, then it works vice versa. For example, supply goes from somewhere along here to this point. Oh, actually it's incorrect, because this is actually maritime hub, so it can either go from here, but it's not unnecessary, because if there is a seaport next to a maritime hub and one player holds both this infrastructure objects, then maritime hub also generates, because if the port would be taken by our troops, then a maritime hub wouldn't generate the supplies, it would only redistribute them, same as supply point would work. So if there is allied port, functioning port, which is not blocked by enemy ships also, which is important, then maritime hub works like supply hub. But if the port is blocked or destroyed or captured or whatever, then maritime hub would work like supply point, just redistributing the supplies. So both these buildings should be controlled by one player and be at full HP, and the seaport mustn't be blocked by the enemy ships for it to create like supplies, not just redistribute them. So it represents the supply by sea from some other ports. So here his troops are getting supplies, but they cannot redistribute them further to this area. Normally they would have been able, but right now our troops are blocking this. And for example, this unit has zone of control. So when a truck with supplies goes here, it immediately stops because it entered zone of control of this unit. And same as with here, so it could go like here, but then it's stopped by this unit's zone of control, so it cannot go further, like any military unit would. Basically, when you move into a hex next to an enemy unit, normally you cannot move further. Only recons can, but they pay extra move points for that, because they have scouting ability. So allows the unit to move again as long as it has move points, and additionally the unit can move through the enemy zone of control without losing all move points. However, it still has to spend one additional move point per each enemy unit which has that hex in zone of control. Well, it's a bit complicated, but basically recons can move through the enemy zone of control, although at higher movement point cost. So also those basically arrows flying like here, they are not very like clear for the understanding. So they show like to which infrastructure objects this location can be connected, but it's not necessarily shows the correct like direction, because for example supplies right now don't go from here to here because it's blocked, but theoretically they could go because there is also like maritime hub and a seaport, so they could supply this area, but this area is also generates supplies, so they could supply each other, it doesn't matter. And also this area could be supplied from this maritime hub and seaport. So basically right now it can either go from this maritime hub to this supply hub to this maritime hub to this area, but at the same time it's generated in this maritime hub, so all of this is unnecessary currently. But if we were to destroy the seaport, then they would still get supplies from here, for example. So we need to disable either port or maritime hub, and also put some of our unit somewhere in here to block the supplies from here, and then those units would be left without supply. So it's really hard to cut off the enemy which has access to the seaport. Like with maritime hubs, they can be supplied by sea. If you want to prevent that and you have ships, you can place your ships, I believe they should be within 2 hexes of the seaport to block it. And they would also block the supply for the naval units from the seaport. Naval supply is cut off the same way the land supply is cut off, but also the seaport cannot be blocked completely if the units are within 2 hexes of it, I believe. So then it doesn't provide supply at all, and it also prevents it from helping maritime hub to provide supplies. So okay, that was some sort of a long lecture of the on the supply system. We'll get to it a bit later, I guess. Okay, let's capture.
We have taken Tarragona, Field Marshal Gurn.
Good, good. The Republican government must be panicking, and rightly so. I am sending you our newest Panzer IV tanks to assist in the assault on Barcelona. Make sure they see enough action that this counts as a conclusive field test. I will expect your report after the battle.
Ready to depart. Ready to roll. Take aim. Ready to roll. Speed is our forte. Breakthrough. We'll get there in no time. Reconnaissance coming. Reporting.
Let's use actually smoke grenade if the enemy tries to attack this recon. It shouldn't do any serious damage to it.
Deploy superior combat tactics. Keep moving. Keep moving.
Not sure how to deal with this anti-tank right now. I guess I'll shell it next turn. Also we have an artillery here, but I think those Panzer force can deal with it next turn. Or maybe I'll deal with it on my way back. So right now we've got another primary objective to capture Barcelona and to test the new tanks in combat. Enemy units destroyed 1 out of 3, so we need to kill 3 enemy units with our new test prototype Panzer IV tanks. There was historically there was a very low number of these tanks produced in this period, but we decided that since some early batch was already available, that they could theoretically send that to Spain and try them out. So that's not at all impossible. Okay, we got 2 non-lethal damage, so that's not bad. Will be restored at the end of our turn if the unit is in supply. So as you see, supply affects various aspects of the game.
With divine assistance. No time to stop.
Any sensitive assignments for us?
With divine assistance. Ready to depart.
If anyone asks, this unit does not exist.
Outmaneuver this.
Won't take the point.
I didn't want to join the army.
Yeah, well, I guess I'll just end the turn.
Heavy caliber.
In Guderian we trust. Take aim. Attack.
Oh, it's free? We have captured Barcelona, but the Spanish government seems to have escaped before the assault.
They should get used to fleeing their own capital. Hopefully they won't be so audacious as to start unpacking so soon. I'm sending several Luftwaffe units into your command. The people of Germany have invested a lot of time and effort into forming these units. Now it is time we evaluate the result. Let me know how well they perform in real combat. A few months ago, the Republicans took the city of Teruel. That's our gateway to Valencia, and their government must be hiding there. So, it is about time Teruel fell back into our hands.
Okay, so our new primary objective is capturing Teruel, and we have to test the new Junkers 87A in combat as well. Okay, so as you can see, at night there are some nice lighthouses and searchlights. Also, cities in the windows are lit up.
Can you see anything?
Let's use the new bombers to take care of those Bofors anti-tank guns.
This is where it begins. One day this war will end. Better not be soon.
We employ superior combat tactics.
Double time.
Armored troops at your disposal.
We were born to make war.
Okay, so this Panzer II is our HQ tank. So I guess I'll make music a bit. Sorry, a bit quieter. Okay, so yeah, so this Panzer II is our HQ tank, and we have to make sure it survives the battle.
Give us something to shell already.
Armored troops at your disposal.
There, see it? The enemy.
Thick armor won't help if one is hit in the head.
Okay, let's send an air recon here.
Verify the enemy.
See what's okay. So there is a heavily dug in regular infantry, and let's also send a recon plane here.
Location.
Okay, one more infantry.
Ready to make some craters.
Let's start bombing them. Oh, by the way, so we dealt 3 damage to this supply point, so it's now at 7 HP. And as you can see, it provides supply to this area, it gets it from here, and also it could get it from here, theoretically. Yeah. So basically, like they have a supply hub in Madrid. Let's say we put our units here to cut off supplies from here, but they could go like from this supply hub to this supply point to this supply point. Actually, and from here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Actually, no, they wouldn't go. Yeah, but let's see. Okay, from there they wouldn't go, so from here it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so from here, so if we put our unit, let's say, in here, it would cut off this road, but then it could go here, and then from here it could go here. So we needed to cut off like both these roads for this to lose supply. But also, if for example we wanted to cut off enemy troops in here, we could do that by destroying this supply point. So for example, right now, as you can see, it provides supply. So all of the boxes are white. But if we keep bombing it, we can drop it below like to 50% HP or lower. The infrastructure is taking damage from artillery and bombers. Other units usually don't deal damage to infrastructure. So we did another 3 damage, and as you can see, there is a fire now, and it's now at 4 HP. So if it's at 5 or lower, it no longer works as supply point, and you can see that it's destroyed currently. It would restore 2 HP per turn, so next turn it would start working if it doesn't suffer any further damage. But right now you can see that all of the boxes are red. So if you see this kind of label, then it means that it's cut off by the enemy troops, my troops in this case. And if you see the red boxes, it means that it's just destroyed, it's no longer functioning. So in theory it could provide supply here, but currently doesn't work, so there is no supply.
It's not very comfortable.
Okay, so let's attack with fighter now.
Locked on target.
And the fighter does damage only to units and not to infrastructure, because it offers very precise strikes, so it deals damage only to infantry and reduces its entrenchment.
Thick armor won't help.
Okay, let's move our panzers and start firing. And now let's finish off the enemy
Field
unit
tests
in
of our
here.
newest Panzer IV tanks were successful, Field Marshal. This new model has proven to be a highly effective instrument of war.
Great news, Halder. It seems in the tank building industry, we are also ahead of all the other European countries. That may prove to be handy very soon.
Double time.
Well, that would probably be used very soon, as we know from history. Okay, so let's end the turn and see what's going on next.
No one can hide from us.
Okay, so it detected the enemy, that's why it stopped.
Squads on the move.
Panzers are the cutting edge of Wehrmacht.
Can we start blasting already?
Let's probably move in here.
Panzers are the cutting edge of Wehrmacht. Speed is our forte. Thick armor won't help if one is thick in the head.
Okay, so there is no line of fire because the tanks cannot fire through rough terrain.
Armored troops at your disposal.
I'll move my HQ in here as well.
Deutschland and its people.
And let's move infantry in here. I guess it would then be able to attack the city. And let's start bombing the enemy positions. So once again, as you can see, right now my troops cut off this area, and also funny as these two hexes. That's because to get in here the enemy has to move through this part of road, and it cannot move, no longer move if it moves here, because it's zone of control by my units. So, and without this hex of the road, or like, it probably has to go like maybe here and here or something, so it can no longer reach these locations.
It's not very comfortable.
That's why it also doesn't supply those.
It's freezing up here.
I don't like how exposed we are.
Okay, so once again, as you can see, this area is now without supply, but it can be supplied, like for example part of it. For example, this part is still supplied by this supply point, so you should keep in mind that like if you destroy one, so some hexes lose supply, but some would be still supplied from another location. So right now this unit will still get supplies despite it being on top of a destroyed supply point, because it's within 8 hexes from this one. And yeah, there is also this supply, this maritime hub, so. And by the way, here is our supply point we've taken last turn. So as you can see now it's at 6 health, and it's now providing full supply. We will have a dedicated tutorial supply infrastructure, so did our best to try and explain all of these mechanics. So if you replay that one carefully and like look for tiny details that we tell there, I think you could learn quite a lot about how all of this stuff works. I mean, it's often overlooked by the players, but it's an important element of the game. So if you want to get better results and like get better at the game, then you should probably pay closer attention to supply.
Weapons bay almost empty. Weapons bay almost empty.
Thick armor won't help if one is thick in the head.
We'll take the point. Target failed. The Republican resistance in Teriel is no more.
Finally, justice has been restored. The road to Valencia is wide open. This is a momentous opportunity, Halder. The Francois have been trying to reach that city for months. If we take it now, in a matter of days, we will once again demonstrate the superiority of the Wehrmacht. I believe this calls for reinforcement. I will give the appropriate orders.
Okay, so we've got, once again, we've got reinforcements, and we've got additional artillery unit. Let's actually start using it already. So what do we have here? Anti-tank gun. Let's start firing.
It's not very comfortable.
Time to move on.
Usually you would want to keep your units on the road, because if you move from the road to another hex with road, it costs you 1. But if, for example, I were to go here, then to go back to the road, it would cost as if there was no road. So basically, the road reduces the movement cost only if you go from hex with road to hex with road. And if you go from a hex without road into hex with road, you don't get the road bonus for that particular movement. So for example, if I go from here to here, I would lose 2 move points to enter this hex and 1 move point to enter this one. Well, that's in case of wield, of course. For infantry it doesn't really matter, because they spend 1 on moving into clear anyways, but for some units it's quite important that if you want to move further on the next turn, you'd better keep it on the road in the previous turn. That's something many overlook as well.
Ready to depart.
Okay.
We'll get there in no time. Scatter them. We will rule the day.
For Deutschland and its people.
I guess I'll start moving some of my units down here as well.
Need anything bombed to the ground?
Maybe here.
Affirmative. We will do battle.
We will rule the day.
We're out of payload.
This is where it begins.
Well, yeah, that was poorly done on my part,
I'm empty.
but
To rearm.
we'll see. Okay. Refuel, go back in here, use afterburner.
Target.
Standing by for orders.
Watch out for
Also,
enemy planes.
yeah, I
Pick up the
believe
pace.
I missed this anti-aircraft gun last turn, but yeah, I'll try to move
Advancing
it
to a
in
new
here.
location. We are heavy hitters. We were born to make war.
We make victory our routine.
Now we can put things in order here. Give us something to shell already.
We will lead the way. Halt. Enemy up ahead.
We are heavy hitters.
Okay, that was dumb.
To battle.
Acknowledged. Move into a position.
Should have
Ready to
scouted
depart.
first.
We do not stop without good reason. Can you see anything? We do not stop without good reason.
Okay, we need to do something with those planes, so let's land them at this airfield
We're out of payload.
for refueling and rearming.
Pressure normal, advancing as ordered.
Can we start blasting already? Artillery reporting.
We do not stop without good reason.
Okay, next turn we'll take the airfield, I guess.
We'll keep the sky clear. Blast them to pieces.
Fighter plane combat ready.
Now,
Adjusting the target quadrant.
we are the guns of the Reich.
It's not very comfortable here.
No army can fight against infantry. AA guns reporting.
Tanks are not heavy, but fast.
Captured.
Okay, so those guys, they are still getting supplies from somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Technically they shouldn't have been. Ah, okay.
Ever vigilant. Be there in a few.
Okay, so it didn't update before because we've just taken this railroad station, and basically what happened, it was showing everything white because before the enemy controlled this railroad station, and that's something that I haven't mentioned. So basically, if there is a supply point controlled by the enemy and functioning next to a railroad station, it can transfer supplies by rail to another railroad station and to another supply point. So it's often very hard to cut the enemy supplies if he can supply it by rail. And railroad supply is not limited to 8 hexes, so it can cover much larger distances. So now that we've captured this railroad station, the enemy can no longer supply this supply point through the railroad station, and basically we've taken this supply point and this supply point, so they cannot supply it, and this supply point is 1 hex too far to supply it by trucks. So now there is no supply here, and basically they would need to recapture the railroad or retake some of the cities that we currently occupy to get this area supplied again,
Hopefully,
which is
no bombers today.
unlikely, as you can see.
Standing by for orders.
Okay, so let's let's deal with the okay, I keep forgetting about these
Can
guys.
you see anything?
Yeah, well, that was really bad.
At the ready.
One day this war will end.
Yeah, I got a
Better
bit
not be
distracted.
soon.
Always ready.
Okay,
Need anything bombed to the ground?
yeah, I guess we'll start moving those forces back,
Speed is our forte.
especially since I messed up the attack on the city.
We employ superior combat tactics.
Okay, my tank got into anti-tank overwatch, and I didn't attack the artillery first, which was really not the right way to approach the storming of the city.
Target practice paying off.
Can we start blasting already? Standing by for orders. Adjusting fire.
It's not very comfortable here. Stop. Aim. Fire.
Artillery incoming.
Out here, no one is my match. Infantry is the Army's core.
Okay, we've taken this
Five guns
airfield.
awaiting orders.
And I guess we'll move the flag guns and those guys on top to take that
Cast the
city.
biggest shadows.
And
Panzer
start
Corps at the ready.
Outmaneuver
taking this anti-aircraft gun
Reporting as
and
ordered, sir.
start using our bombers here.
Dropping the payload. Approaching coordinates. Altitude normal. Ready to make some craters.
Okay, so basically
Bombs away. Bombs away.
let's start bombing.
For Deutschland and its people. Take it out.
We'll treat this with absolute discretion.
Okay, let's end the turn. Losing those tanks was really unfortunate and kind of sloppy play, but oh well.
Give us the coordinates and watch the fireworks. Firing for effect.
No respite for the enemy.
Tactical bomber reporting.
Scatter them. Panzer Corps at the ready.
We are the guns of the Reich.
Another win for the intelligence. It's
I guess we'll need one more turn to deal with those guys, or maybe, let's see.
Tactical bomber reporting. I don't like how exposed we are.
Need anything bombed to the ground?
What happened? Army happened.
time for some action.
Or maybe not.
Our forces have taken Valencia, Field Marshal Goering. The city is under our control.
Your successes are dazzling, General. Now all that remains is to capture Madrid. The Republicans' morale is all but gone, so this scuffle will barely be worth calling a battle. Meanwhile, I have convinced our Italian allies to support you. Their units will arrive soon.
This is Commander Krivoshein speaking. General Halder, you may have noticed the Republican tank divisions posted near Madrid. I have personally trained those crews, and let me assure you, you'll break your teeth if you try to take a bite out of Madrid. How about you keep your distance, comrade? We're common soldiers. There's no cause for a quarrel between us. Let the top brass decide the Spanish capital's fate. Top brass, Commander? Aren't you a volunteer, same as I am? Let's get to the point, though. You are not in a position to make demands. Madrid is completely surrounded, and your chances of winning are close to nil. So how about you take your men and retreat? As a fellow officer, I will personally ensure you aren't fired upon. A generous offer, General, but I'll have to turn it down. My orders are clear. Hold Madrid at all costs. You really don't want to know what they'll do to me back home if I disobey them. As you wish, Krivoshein. You have a few days to contact your top brass and negotiate the Soviet contingent's orderly retreat. Otherwise, let us meet on the battlefield.
General, the Abwehr has been keeping an eye on the enemy communications. A recent radiogram from Albacete claims a part of the garrison has deserted the city and joined the Francoists. They are holding out at the city's railway station, but they are both outnumbered and outgunned. This is a great chance to both capture Albacete and gain new allies.
They've already deserted their posts once. What's stopping them from doing so again? These men are turncoats. But you're right. This way we can take the city with minimal bloodshed. I will give the orders. We're advancing towards Albacete.
We will rule the day.
At your command. Time to move on.
It's not very comfortable here.
We are heavy hitters.
Thick armor won't help if one is stick in the head.
At your command.
Can you see anything?
Ready to make some craters.
Okay, so we've got additional objectives. Help the rebels in Albacete and capture Madrid. But the turn is almost
No army
over.
can fight without infantry.
Just have to move some new infantry squads that we've got. And basically that's it.
Panzers are the cutting edge of Wehrmacht.
Okay, let's end the turn.
One day this war will end. Better not be soon.
Okay, let's see what's in here.
Verifying the enemy's location.
Give us something to shell already.
We cast the
Actually,
biggest shadows, correcting
let's use
angles of
bombers to deal with artillery.
dropping the payload. I have a bad feeling about this. Correcting angle of approach. Dropping the payload. Enemy escaping bombing area.
About to run out of ammo.
And let's use afterburner to get there. It increases it gets +4 move points, so we can barely
You're as good as dead.
get it here and finish the move.
What happened?
Now we'll use the artillery to fire on
For
these
Deutschland and its
guys.
people.
Heavy caliber.
And actually we'll use this artillery
We have
as well.
helped the turncoats in Albacete to take control of the city.
Your moral principles may prove an asset in this war, but I'm glad you could find a compromise. There are allies you like and allies you need, but having both is a luxury. General, my agents report a large shipment of English machine guns has arrived from Madrid to Cuenca a few days ago. It seems the garrison commander has since been summarily executed for one reason or another, and the new commander hasn't seen fit to unpack the shipment yet.
Are you suggesting we pay them a visit? Why not? Our troops can always use more machine guns.
Okay, so
We will do
let's
battle.
keep moving our
Ever
troops
vigilant.
here.
At once.
Or I'd rather put
At
them in
once.
here. Okay, so the thing here is like this supply point is destroyed currently. It will be restored next turn when it will be up to 7 HP, but right now there is no supply in here. And for example, this artillery is out of fuel, as you can see, but it has 1 ammo left, so it can fire once on this area, which is actually enough. And also it can move 1 move point without trucks, so it would be able to move like in here, which is enough for the next turn, and then we will get supplies running again. But this one, it's out of ammo, so if I move it somewhere here, it wouldn't be able to fire next turn, which is
We need more
why
shells.
let's see where it would still be in supply. Like if I move it here, it would still get
For
supplies.
Deutschland and its people.
So I'll probably move it in here. Yeah, those are the last hexes. Get supplies and then move it forward.
Repositioning.
Okay,
Forward, march. We will do battle.
Hopefully, no fighters today.
and let's start moving the rest of the troops.
We do not stop without good reason.
What's your step?
Okay,
For Deutschland and its people. Advancing swiftly.
Hopefully, no fighters today.
yeah, that's it. Okay, it's Krivoshain's tanks. Let's see.
Fuel tanks empty.
All is quiet, but not for long.
Okay, so infantry yak, it cannot move, as I said, and I was wrong about this hex. Yeah, it still requires fuel to move as a total unit.
Parting the
So
clouds.
let's start
All
bombing.
is quiet, but not for long. I have a bad feeling about
Let's
this.
try to recon there.
Fuel tanks empty.
Running on reserve fuel.
They won't know what hit them. Engaging. We will rule the day.
Standing by for orders. Affirmative.
Panzers on the move.
Step by step, we expand our fatherland. Open fire.
No, didn't do any damage to it at all. Okay.
For Deutschland and its people. I didn't want to join
Yes,
the army.
I'll just
Ready
fall
to
back a
raise
bit
steel
and
curtain.
hope that the enemy loses track of those units. Doesn't seem like it. Well, let's try to deal with this tank
Tactical
first.
bomber, armed and ready. Advancing in that direction. It's about to get loud down there.
Out here,
Bombers
no
are really
one is
good
my
against
match.
tanks.
We will save the world from chaos.
We are the guns of the right.
What's your step?
Give us the coordinates and watch the fireworks. We're going! We're going!
General, ceasefire! Ceasefire! I have contacted the Soviet High Command. My new orders are to retreat from Madrid. If your offer still stands, an officer's word is not easily broken, Commander. Go. I will make sure my troops hold their fire. Thank you, Halder. It is rare to see such honor from your level of military leader.
Okay, so now those tanks
Reporting as ordered,
not a
sir.
threat to us any longer.
Ready for orders.
And
Expect
let's
us
move
at
in
the
here
coordinates.
and start taking the city.
Standing by for orders.
Reporting as ordered, sir.
Moving. Stay sharp.
I didn't want to join the army.
Did you find us someone to shell?
In Guderian, we trust. Thick armor won't help if one is thick in the head.
Reporting as ordered, sir.
Blast those bastards!
We'll take the point.
Infantry is the army's.
We have captured the enemy stockpile at Cuenca. Indeed, it was chock full of excellent Vickers machine guns. Thank you for the timely tip, Admiral.
Can you see anything? With speed and precision. Already there.
Okay, so let's prepare for the storming of Madrid. There is one more USSR tank in there. Okay.
Heavy caliber. Need anything bombed to the ground?
In Guderian, we trust.
We're the elite. We've discovered the enemy.
Artillery reporting. Confirmed. Moving out. Repositioning.
Ready to roll. We make victory our routine. We employ superior combat tactics.
We were born to make war.
Weapons bay almost empty. Pressure normal, advancing as ordered.
For glory!
We don't need roads.
Weapons bay almost empty. Payload delivered.
Okay, got second unit for
About to
the...
run out of ammo.
Okay,
I
have to
have
go
a
to this
good feeling
airfield.
about this. Our tanks are not heavy, but fast.
What happened? Army
Let's
happened.
bring these guys closer.
There is no going back now. Forward, march.
Okay, nighttime again.
Fuel's running out. Target locked. Infantry is the army's core.
The hammer of the Reich. Give us something to shell already.
Attacking. We've captured the key point.
Okay, we got a level up on recon, so let's get observant, I think.
Our tanks are not heavy, but fast.
Okay, so there is
Speed
artillery,
is our
let's
force.
start firing on it.
We're out of payload.
Okay, let's get those guys back to an airfield.
We'll take the point.
We're out of payload. Correcting angle of approach.
They won't know what hit
And let's use this fighter to start dealing with this artillery.
Reporting as ordered, sir.
Hmm,
Infantry is the army's core.
guess we are not, we
We
need
were
some
born to make war.
preliminary artillery bombardment before assaulting those heavily fortified infantry positions in
Pick
the
up the
city,
pace.
and have to deal with artillery first.
What is it? Affirmative.
In Guderian, we trust.
HQ tank barely survived the turn, so I'd better even take it back, because we could lose the operation right now. It was a really risky move that I shouldn't have done, I guess. I guess it's on a very weak unit right now, so we will of course upgrade it afterwards, but right now no more heroics for our HQ. Okay, Soviets are getting away from the map. Okay, I guess let's use our bombers first to deal with artillery.
Parting the clouds.
And to get...
Ready to depart.
Okay, level up available. Let's get... aggressive maneuver is good for tanks. Night Hunter is also good. Guess we'll take Night Hunter for now.
Where to, Commander? Bombs away, bombs away.
Both
Bomb.
our new planes and their pilots have demonstrated themselves in the best possible way. I talked to the top pilots myself, and my staff has documented all of their impressions and suggestions for air combat tactics and possible technical improvements.
Great. The German army has finally been returned to its former glory.
Always ready.
Time to allocate ammo for priority targets.
Infantry is the Army's core.
Give us the coordinates and watch the fireworks. Adjusting fire.
We will save the world from chaos. Step by step, we expand our fatherland.
Holding the key location.
Lucky you, on the ground. It's freezing up here.
Well, we are nearing the turns limit, but I think there is just 2 units to deal with, so we are fine. Okay, the Spanish guys tried to capture the airfield, but they lost their entrenchment because of that, so that's actually good for us. Well, mobile is, I guess, undoubtedly the best skill for artillery. So
No army
let's
can fight
take it.
without infantry.
Time to allocate ammo for priority targets.
We'll move quietly. Moving. Stay sharp.
We are the
And
guns
let's
of the right.
fire on those
Fuel for the go.
guys.
Ready for some havoc. Hostiles are retreated.
What's
Let's
today's
finish
mission?
them off.
Eliminated. We're out of
Okay.
rounds.
And let's
allocate ammo for
capture
priority
Madrid
targets.
itself,
Might
the
makes
center
right.
of the city.
The Spanish capital is under our control, Field Marshal Goering. The government has surrendered, and the Francoists are already putting up their flags around the city. It seems the civil war is over.
What a glorious day, my friend Halder. Be sure, the Führer will be notified of your commanding prowess. My God, what an impressive victory. I'm sure Franco's troops were left in awe of the Wehrmacht's display of skill and might. The Führer is pleased with you, Halder. Return to Berlin at once. We expect your full report on the army and vehicles' combat effectiveness now they have been tested in the field.
Okay, great. So we've got 400 points, completed all the objectives and stuff. 1 turn before we would hit the turn limit. So I'll keep playing this campaign a bit later. I think in the next episodes we'll get back to the Pacific and then back to Blitzkrieg, I think. So let's see what the cinematic has to offer us, and yeah.
Herman, just look at this endless list of candidates for the new Army Chief of Staff. There's not one halfway decent person in it.
I know your resentment of the Army High Command is justified, Adolf. However, what you could do is call upon your most loyal officers and ask which one commands their respect.
Democratic elections in the Wehrmacht. That is certainly something new.
As we say, one people, one Reich, one Führer. Yet it might be wise to discuss the assignment with the commanding officers, my Führer.
Who would you suggest as the best candidate for the Army Chief of Staff position?
In my opinion, it's Franz Halder. His operational actions in Madrid speak louder than words.
Franz Halder is the best candidate, my Führer. He is a brilliant strategist.
I think it should be Franz Halder. His military vision and talents can be of great service to our country.
I can recommend Halder, my Führer. Or myself.
You can go, Manstein. The majority sees as the Army Chief of Staff a man who is afraid of starting a war.
So what? All strategic decisions are yours only, Adolf. He is a loyal commander who is highly respected. You need but an instrument to carry out your will. If you assign Halder, you will win over the entire Army High Command.
Okay, so here is our headquarters. So next operation is invasion of Poland. Basically we'll start the World War II, because the first operation was the Spanish Civil War. It was no part of World War II. So we've already played the Spectre of Communism version, where we were playing the Soviets and were taking Eastern Poland. Now we'll take Western Poland. So there are a lot of like similarities, like shared secondary objectives, like get ahead of German or USSR side, but it's still different map, because here we will play like this part, and in like I guess up to Brest and Lvov, like something like this, and in USSR we would play something like this. So it's quite different still. But it has some cross references, of course, which you would notice if you play both of those. Okay, so let's probably have a look at the units available and upgrades we have. So I'd want to upgrade Panzer IIs to Panzer IVs and those guys as well. Then I would want to upgrade my recon. Yeah, I want this to be a flag gun. And I would probably just acquire some units. I want 2 more artillery units. I would say 2 pioneers, maybe upgrade those guys as well. And maybe get 1 more fighter. Okay. Yeah, So happy with those. Well, that's too expensive to upgrade, and I guess I'm not able to give those proper trucks currently. So yeah, well, we'll have to get them as we advance, I guess. So where is our HQ? Okay, this is our HQ. Okay, let's give those guys Vickers, and let's say I don't think there are lots of mines in there, so that's not really seems necessary. Okay, let's give everyone incendiary shells since they are cost per use. Okay, so I would really want to get flamethrowers for everyone. Yeah. Don't have tank flamethrowers at this point. Yeah, nothing for fighters. Those guys don't have trucks, so we'll have to purchase them, like acquire them as soon as we get some prestige during the map. For these guys, yes, additional ammunition would be nice. Yeah, I guess we've spent all of our prestige. And let's take tankman courses, frontline artillery, yeah, I guess we've got lots of artillery, and this map we don't have enough bombers and stuff to do anything else, so let's just level up the frontline artillery skill.
The Russians have me worried. The Fuhrer may trust them, but I don't. How could Stalin possibly not see a new, strong Germany as a challenge? I bet his all-too-friendly facade will slip soon. We must keep an eye on our allies as much as we do on our enemies.
Did you know I was born here in Eastern Prussia? Feels good to return to my native lands. The Polish government dallies in indecision, and their army is half a century behind us in tactics and arms. While the Wehrmacht is fielding state-of-the-art aircraft and tank armies, the Poles fight on horseback. Mark my word, this conquest will be over the moment it begins.
Well, we've talked to Manstein and Guderian, so yeah, we are ready to jump in the next operation, so let's save the game and we'll continue it in one of the next episodes. So if you have any questions, like we've got questions about supply mechanics, so I've did my best to answer those, and if you want any like more specific details, let me know and I will try to get into more details next time. Also, if you have any other questions about game mechanics, design, or about how our studio works and stuff like that, feel free to ask them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer those next time. So have a good day, goodbye, and see you in the next episode.